All right, so take a look at this video. This is the former CDC director, Dr. Robert Redfield, who now is saying that the COVID jab should not have been called the V word. It was never meant to prevent transmission. It probably was a misnomer to call it a vaccine. It's really more like a medicine. It doesn't stop infection.
The problem is not the science of creating the vaccine. The problem was the public policy and how to use the vaccine. The vaccine should have never been mandated. It wasn't never meant to prevent transmission. It didn't prevent transmission. Probably was a misnomer to call it a vaccine. It's really more like a medicine. It doesn't stop infection. Children should have never been vaccinated. People shouldn't have been mandated to be vaccinated to go to school and work. So the policy side was totally misplayed, okay? And I know the vaccine came out on the 14th of December, and I was out of office on January 20th, so unfortunately I had very little influence on the policy, but I did argue that it should be a vaccine that we should use for the vulnerable. Put it in the nursing homes, put it in assisted living. Don't mandate this vaccine, didn't belong in children. So a lot of overreach, and as a consequence, the mRNA was a new technology. It hadn't, we don't know all of the potential negative consequences. I'll say this briefly because I see the timer. When I give you an mRNA vaccine, and I've talked to the FDA and others about this, when I give you an mRNA vaccine, I don't know how much spike protein you make. I turn you into a spike protein factory. I think the FDA should know how much protein do you make. And I don't know how long you make it. I think we ought to know how long do you make it. And I don't know the volume of distribution of it in your body. I think we should know all of those things.
Who's being held accountable for this? Those are the real questions that need to be asked. And even if nobody decides to hold anybody accountable, there will be another situation like this. And we're currently going through these situations all the time, actually, where they present something to us that they need us to think about it in a particular way that benefits their agenda, that aligns with their strategy of what they're trying to do on the global scale. So we just are locked in on one particular thing, and we're not able to think for ourselves because they've established so much fear around it, all of these different things, the chaos. This is what happened in 2020. So therefore, I think the lesson learned here is stop believing everything that we hear. Stop thinking that just because somebody gets on TV and they got a nice suit, or they're being called this expert in this particular area, like Fauci, who's what did they say? He was an expert in whatever area it was, but he never even took a fellowship. He was not trained in that particular area. It was something along those lines. I don't want to go into too much detail, but y'all look it up. We talked about it before. Stop just believing things. Go on to your social media platforms. Don't just turn on the news, because the news, guess what? Who do you think their advertisements are getting paid by? Big Pharma. Oh, you want to look at some white papers? Who do you think's sponsoring the white papers and paying the people that are conducting the studies to decide whether or not this drug is appropriate? Big Pharma. Think for yourself. Challenge people like these meta platforms that Mark Zuckerberg came out and acknowledged that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were censoring a lot of the things that didn't align with what they were trying to push to the people. All right, all this censorship. Don't be okay with censorship when it's one topic that just happens to align with your politics, but then be in a position now where it's now not aligned with your politics, and you sitting here wondering, well, no. Like, this is why we have to follow principles, follow morals, values, rather than following politicians, political parties, or goofy celebrities. Let's keep it moving.